Hello everybody and welcome back to my continuation of my book reading of The Whispering Nights. Chapter 3, A Cake for Susie. The days passed and things were peaceful up at the barn. At first the children were very careful and looked closely at every shadow and every dark corner, but nothing happened. I think Morgan's gone. She was frightened of us, said Susie confidently one day. Martha was not so sure. She said nothing. You know something? Said William. We ought to ask Miss Applewhite to tea. I'd be polite to say thank you for inviting us to tea, and anyway, she's nice. Susie considered. Where would it be? Here in the barn, answered William. I know it belongs to her, but she'll understand. Susie looked doubtful, but Martha said at once, Oh yes! We can tidy up the barn and put some flowers on an old box for a table and bring some food from home. I suppose I could bring some food from Mom's shop, said Susie reluctantly. She probably wouldn't notice. So the tea party was arranged. Miss Applewhite arrived wearing a long dress made of a beautiful material that whispered as she walked, lots of rings on her bony fingers, and a very large summer hat which was covered in flowers. The food was certainly different from Miss Applewhite's tea. Instead of her thin sandwiches, light sugared cakes, and tea from a silver pot, they had cold chicken, pieces of cheese, chocolate, apples, and bottles of fruit drinks. Miss Applewhite enjoyed it all and thanked them most politely when she finally left. The children felt that the tea party had been a great success. Late that afternoon, Susie was helping her mother in the village shop when one of the customers began talking about the plans for a new motorway several kilometers away from the village. Susie's mother was proud of knowing everything that happened in and around the village. You know, Mrs. Slater, she said, filling a paper bag with apples, at one time that motorway was going to come right through the Sharnbrook Valley here. Never. That destroy half of the village. What a terrible thing. Miss Poulter, replied Miss Slater. Then luckily they decided to build it on the far side of Chipping Ledbury, where that big factory is. People say that Mr. Steele, who owns the factory, will get lots of money for pulling this factory down so that the motorway can be built. He's rich enough already, that's what I said. That comes to £1.50, please, Miss Slater. Here you are. Well, it's a good thing for us anyway. A motorway through the village? I hope I never live to see it. Susie listened without much interest, and when it was time to close the shop, ran through to the sitting room. She turned on the television, but the only picture that appeared was an unending shower of white rain. She decided to go around to Martha's house to watch the television, and went out the back door. But as she passed the front of the shop, she noticed something on the doorstep. It was a large parcel addressed to Miss Susie Poulter, with "by hand" written in one corner. She sat down on the step and opened the parcel. Inside there was a white box, and inside that there was a cake. A large round cake, beautifully made. She had never seen anything like it. On its perfect top, in smooth pink and white writing, it says, "To dear Susie, with love." It's not my birthday, thought Susie, thinking hard. Who could it possibly be from? There was no card or letter in the box. Could it be from her mother? No, the cake was clearly a very expensive one, and Miss Poulter was careful with money. From her aunt? But Aunt Pam lived far away in Nottingham. How could she get a cake here by hand? It was all a great, real mystery. Susie decided not to tell her mother about it. It would be more fun to take it to the barn and give some to William and Martha. After all, it said to Dear Susie on it. So, basically, it was her cake. And she could do what she liked with it. She put it back in the box and took it round to Martha's house to show her. She found Martha sitting on the gate outside her house. I want to watch your television, said Susie. There's something wrong with ours. Is there? Martha replied. Ours isn't working either. Let's see, said Susie, who believed nobody. They went into Tim's kitchen and turned on the television. The same shower of white rain appeared. It's pretty, said Martha, staring dreamily at it. Don't be stupid, answered Susie crossly. Come on then, let's go out. They went outside and she took the parcel from under her arm. Here, I got something to show you. She opened the cake box. Oh, Susie, cried Martha, her eyes widened in surprise. You are lucky, Susie. Who sent it to you? I don't know, replied Susie. There was no card or anything. I thought we could eat it at the barn tomorrow. Oh, yes, said Martha lightly. Susie looked lovely at the cake. It wouldn't matter if we tasted a bit now, wouldn't it? She suggested. So Martha ran to the kitchen for a knife, and Susie cut 2 thin pieces very carefully out of the beautiful cake. She passed the first one to Martha on the side of her knife, but her hand shook a little and the piece of cake fell onto the grass. Sorry, she said. Martha picked it up and opened her mouth to take a bite, when Susie said suddenly, Stop a minute. Look there. Martha looked, still holding the piece of cake in her hand. Where the cake had been on the ground, the grass was brown and burned. Martha gasped and dropped her piece of cake. The skin on her fingers were pink and felt painful. Susie, there's something wrong with it. Susie bent over the cake and smelled it. It did not smell of sugar or butter or fruit, but of something bad. She jumped up, found the stick lying in the grass, and pushed it down hard, right into the center of the cake. There was a hissing noise and a terrible bad smell, and then, where the cake had been, nothing but a circle of burnt grass. The girl stared in horror. We nearly ate it, said Susie. Think what your stomach would be like if you ate that. A freezing cold entered their bones, and their arms and legs felt strangely heavy. The sky seemed to become darker, and there was a feeling of danger in the air. Martha and Susie looked at each other uncomfortably. It was Morgan, wasn't it? Whispered Susie, and Martha whispered back, Yes. The smell was still very strong. Without another word, they hurried away and ran into Martha's house. What's wrong with you two? Asked Mrs. Timms. You look very white. Have you seen a ghost? Martha was still shaking, but Susie was beginning to feel better. It's raining, she said, that's all. The next day they told Miss Applewhite about the cake. She just laughed. Oh, really? I'm afraid that Morgan will have to do better than that. How childish of her. She does not realize how sensible you are. We shall have no problems if she continues like this. Susie and Martha were rather ashamed that they had come so near to eating the cake, but Miss Applewhite was much more interested in the problems that they were all having with their televisions. All our televisions have gone wrong in the same way, explained William, and it only happens when we're in the room. Do you think it could be... Miss Applewhite thought for a moment. How do they work, these machines? She asked. Well, said William, importantly, it's all a question of sound waves, you see. They go through the air and, well, I'm not certain how they do work, actually. If it is anything to do with her, then it is worrying, said Miss Applewhite, because it means she is moving on to our ground and into our time. I wonder, Morgan knows very little about new ideas. She may think television is more central to our lives than it really is. I'm sorry, said Susie. I don't really understand. Well, consider the evenings in our home and millions of other homes, the circle of chairs all turned to face the television, the polite silence broken only by the confident voice from the box. "Oh," said William, "I see. He thinks it's a kind of god. Is it possible that Morgan has made that mistake? So we don't need to worry too much about this latest attempt of her to frighten you." The next day, it rained heavily all morning, and Susie decided to stay and help her mother in the shop, as it was too wet to go to the barn. For a while, things were quiet. Then, suddenly, at 10 o'clock, Mrs. Watts came in. "Well, what a day. It's Black Friday for us all, right, isn't it?" Susie's mother looked at the window. "What else can you expect? Seems to me it always rains a lot in August." "I'm not talking about the weather," said Miss Watts impatiently. "I mean the other business. Haven't you heard?" Mrs. Poulter hated not knowing the latest news. She had to pretend she wasn't very interested. Other business? All because that awful young man decided something different now. He's got friends in the right places. That's what people say. Well, I think Tom and I'll just have to move away. Mrs. Poulter couldn't stop herself asking, "What's the matter then?" "The matter? It's the motorway. That's what it is. They've changed the way it's going to go. It won't go south past Chipping Ledbury where the factory is. No, it'll go north through the valley after all." Mrs. Poulter stared. "Will it be near the village then?" "Near. It'll go straight through it." And that was chapter 3, A Cake for Susie. Thank you so much for listening. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll catch you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.